So the question is, how do you do toddler milk, plane entertainment, and more without losing your mind on a flying day? My hope with this video and others on my channel is to give you the confidence to fly with your babies or toddlers and to share some of my very best tips after nearly 40 flights with my 2-year-old son. Dory, my son, is getting really good at taking all of this in stride, but I think that many babies and toddlers are just more resilient than we think when it comes to these sorts of things. It can be a lot harder on us grown-ups who have to deal with all the tough decisions and responsibilities, but really babies and toddlers just want to explore and play and sleep and eat, and all of that can be arranged on a travel day for them just as well as it can at home. It's a lot more tiring, but it's all very doable. We have so many long flights coming up in the next couple of weeks that our 5-hour flight today across the country actually seems like child's play. We're flying from Montreal to Vancouver, coming home from a family trip with carry-ons only. Many people have told me that flying with a 2-year-old is the hardest age, but I've personally found it to be leaps and bounds easier than flying with him when he was crawling and learning how to walk. There are a lot of reasons for this that I'll get into in this video. Before we even got to the airport, we had a 2-hour car ride, and this was in the middle of the afternoon, so we planned on having Dory sleep in the car, but like many best laid plans, it didn't work out. If you've ever had your toddler not nap until 4 or 5 p.m., which is what's about to happen to us today, you know that this isn't the ideal scenario, but we were just rolling with the punches. That it was going to be what it was going to be. We got to the airport 2 hours before our flight took off, which we've decided not to do anymore after this trip. I personally prefer getting to the airport at least 3 hours early so we have time to let Dory run around instead of just going from the car to the stroller to sitting on the plane. He gets some time to stretch his legs. There was no line at the check-in today, which is awesome, but it often takes a little bit longer anyway than usual with a baby or a toddler for several reasons. Sometimes we have to stop for feedings or diaper changes. Security always takes longer because of the extra stuff that we generally need to bring and all the liquids that need to be tested. Today at the check-in, we had to check our car seat, which they always make you walk to an oversized luggage drop-off point to drop off, and we had to get a tag to have our stroller gate checked. We also had to pay for an additional carry-on bag because this was a discount airline and we just didn't do that beforehand. And something kind of strange happened. There was a lady in distress about her daughter's plane ticket who only spoke Spanish, so Phil translated for her. It was just kind of lucky that he happened to be standing there at the same time as her. We were kind of tight on time, but we still stopped for fast food because we didn't want to starve on the airplane. We were flying, like I said, a discount airliner that only serves water on a 5-hour flight. Security took a bit because they had to test Dory's milk. So in the US, you're technically allowed to bring as much milk and other liquids for your baby, like squeeze packets or whatever, for your baby or toddler as you need to. There's no age limit specified and no liquid limit specified. The liquids just need to undergo some additional testing, and sometimes they need to give you an additional pat down. In Canada, you can do the same, but the age limit is supposedly 24 months. And my son, Dory, is over 24 months, but so far I haven't been given any issue taking his large quantities of milk through security. I've been bringing shelf-stable oat milk for him that I can open up on the plane, and this size fills about 2 sippy cups of milk for him, so I don't need to keep it refrigerated or anything during the flight. And I also have been bringing powdered milk as a backup plan in case they make me throw away the oat milk. It took a long time for us today to get through security with all the milk testing, taking off our shoes, putting on our shoes, laptops out and back in, Dory running around, overtired, and by the time we were done, we actually had to run to our gate because final boarding was being called. We cut it close our last 2 flights, and it's been nice in some ways to not make the travel day longer than it needs to be, but I think we'll still try and arrive 3 hours early next time just in case. We didn't have any wiggle room today. If we'd had a poop explosion or some other kind of emergency, we would have been in big trouble. Speaking of poop explosions, I've heard of some parents using a cloth diaper on top of their regular disposable diapers for the flight for extra protection in case of a blowout, or double diapering, or using a night diaper. All decent options, I think. It's of course always the best idea to do a diaper change right before you get on the plane if you can. Sometimes you're stuck sitting in your airplane seat with your seatbelt on for a good 45 45 minutes to an hour from the time you board until the seatbelt sign finally goes off in the air. No issues for us here today in that regard. On the flight, Dory actually fell asleep during takeoff, curled up in his seat. He was so exhausted by this point. We started celebrating. We were so happy, ready to just chill. We jumped the gun because he woke up 40 minutes later and was even kookier than before because he didn't sleep long enough. He did a lot of frantic playing in his seat. He played with his tablet a lot, but just seemed a little bit cranky and out of sorts. He also didn't seem to be feeling too great. We gave him some Tylenol. He played with some new toys that he'd just gotten from his auntie and stuck stickers all over me. He wasn't in too bad a shape, but just didn't seem completely himself. And eventually he fell back asleep in my arms. He was still very wiggly though and seemed to keep waking up a lot. He wakes up just in time to get off the plane by himself, and our stroller is waiting for us this time. We've been having some issues lately with gate-checked strollers, and I'm more and more recommending to people I know to get a foldable travel stroller that fits in the overhead bin. It's a whole thing. I'll get into that more in another video. We got our car seat back smoothly on the other side and took public transportation back to our home. It had been a really long travel day for all of us, but actually one of the easiest ones too. No major issues. Dory was a trooper. We were just going from family back home, which always makes things easier than going to an unknown place or to an Airbnb or a hotel or something like that. Alright guys, join us in our next videos as we tackle an almost 30-hour travel day together from Canada to Asia. We'll see you there. Happy travels!